Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a topic that's, well, it's gaining some much needed traction to the comm: support for new and expecting fathers.
hmm
For a long time, I think when we talked about pregnancy and, early parenthood, the focus was pretty understandably on mothers.
Right, that was the main narrative.
But there's a really encouraging shift happening. We're seeing more and more recognition of how vital fathers are.
Yeah.
And with that comes this growing landscape of resources tailored just for them.
Absolutely. And for this deep dive, we've sort of pulled together insights from, well, general parenting resources, but also specific support systems and data right here in the UK.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is the picture it paints, not just like what's available, but also the real needs that are actually being addressed or starting to be addressed.
Exactly. So our mission today, really, especially if you're a new or expecting father listening, is to give you a clear, comprehensive look at what support is actually out there.
Yeah, cut through the noise a bit.
We want to help you navigate this, well, incredible journey, feeling more informed, maybe more ready, and definitely less like you're just trying to figure it all out in the dark.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with something that I think underpins everything: your emotional and mental well-being.
Yeah, that's fundamental. And what's crucial to understand right from the outset is that while maternal mental health has rightly got a lot of attention,
Mm.
new fathers also experience really significant emotional shifts
Mm.
and mental health challenges too.
We're not just talking about being tired, are we?
No, not at all. We're talking about things like paternal postpartum depression, heightened anxiety, and just those major shifts in identity as you become a father is huge.
It really is.
And it's so vital to recognize that these feelings are completely valid. Seeking support is, it's a sign of strength, definitely not weakness.
It's so true. It can be a genuine struggle, but the good news is there are therapists, counselors, people who specifically work with men during this exact time.
Right, they get it.
They get the unique pressures. They can help you navigate everything from, say, changes in your relationship with your partner to managing those anxieties that just, well, inevitably crop up.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting to say, we're also seeing this real growth in support groups and online communities.
That peer connection.
Exactly. That shared experience, it can combat feelings of isolation, which, research shows is a big factor in paternal mental health struggles.
Definitely. And you've got international organizations like Dad's Group Inc. in Australia or the National Fatherhood Initiative in the US. They provide that sense of community, that shared experience.
Okay.
Then there's Fathering Together. That's a global online community connecting dads from, well, all walks of life.
And for those who maybe prefer a more informal space, online communities like the Reddit forums, or Adaddit or our Predaddit,
Yeah, those are popular.
and various Facebook groups too. They can be incredibly helpful for just peer-to-peer support. Just knowing other dads are going through similar stuff, it can make a huge difference to how you feel, can it?
Absolutely huge. And connecting this to the UK specifically, we have some fantastic dedicated resources. There's Dads Matter UK. That's a charity focused specifically on supporting fathers with perinatal mental health challenges.
Okay, Dads Matter UK.
Yeah, they've got online resources, links to local support networks, that sort of thing.
Yep.
And the Pandas Foundation UK.
Pandas, yeah, I've heard of them.
They provide a free helpline and email support. And that's for both mothers and fathers affected by perinatal mental illness. It's a really valuable service.
That's great.
And we should also mention Postpartum Support International, PSI. While it's international, they have really substantial resources that address paternal postpartum depression specifically. Worth checking out.
It's brilliant to see these organizations really dedicating focus to fathers. And for people in the UK, there's also NHS talking therapies, right? What used to be IAPT.
Exactly. NHS Talking Therapies. It's free, you can self-refer, and it offers talking therapies for various mental health concerns.
So definitely something to consider if you find yourself, struggling a bit.
Absolutely. Don't hesitate.
So if we take a step back, what's the key message in all these mental health resources?
I think the key message is simply, if you're feeling overwhelmed or down, or just not yourself,
Yeah.
you are absolutely not alone.
Right.
And there are clear pathways to get support. You don't have to just tough it out.
Good. Okay, so building on that foundation of well-being, let's move on to another really crucial area: education and preparation, getting ready for it all.
Yeah, this is about being proactive. The value of, proactively learning and preparing for fatherhood, it really can't be overstated.
Hmm.
Feeling informed can seriously reduce anxiety, and it helps build your confidence as you step into this massive new role.
And one of the first things people might think of here are antenatal classes, right?
Exactly. That's often the first port of call. Many hospitals, birthing centers, and here in the UK, the NCT, that's the National Childbirth Trust.
Yeah, they're very well known.
They offer classes specifically designed for dads, or at least very inclusive of partners. And these are increasingly available both in person and online now, which offers real flexibility.
That online option is great, makes it much easier to fit in.
Definitely. And beyond the formal classes, there are some really excellent books out there too.
Like what?
Well, The Expectant Father by Armin Brott is a classic, very widely respected guide.
Okay.
And for something maybe a bit different, Dude, You're Gonna Be a Dad
Yeah.
by John Pfeiffer. It offers a more humorous, maybe more relatable perspective for some guys.
Right. Different strokes for different folks.
Exactly. And for those who prefer listening, podcasts like the Dad Edge podcast and the Modern Dads podcast, they provide ongoing conversations, valuable insights into the realities of fatherhood. Good for the commute, maybe.
Yeah, podcasts are great for that. And it's not just books and podcasts either, is it? You can find online courses. Places like Coursera and Udemy might have relevant stuff.
And local parenting centers, too. Always worth checking them out. They often run workshops and just have a wealth of resources available.
Speaking of practical resources, particularly in the UK, the Dad Pad sounds really interesting.
Oh, the Dad Pad is fantastic.
Yeah.
What's brilliant about it, and it's available as an app or sometimes a physical booklet in some NHS areas, is how specifically it's designed by dads for dads.
Okay, so it's got that perspective baked in.
Totally. It covers everything from like those precious early bonding moments to really practical stuff like bathing the baby.
It's scary stuff.
Yeah. And it even highlights important red flags to watch out for regarding mental health, both for mom and for dad. Its focus is on practical, dad-specific advice. It really acknowledges that dads often have different information needs, maybe different learning styles.
That makes sense. And you also mentioned the Best Beginnings app, Baby Buddy.
Yeah, Baby Buddy, that's another fantastic tool in the UK.
Yeah.
It's been around supporting mums for a while, but it's increasingly focusing on father-specific content alongside that.
So becoming more inclusive.
Exactly. It's really encouraging to see that growing inclusivity in these sort of mainstream resources.
Okay, so we've got the mental health support, the educational prep. Building on that knowledge, let's explore the practical support systems, things that can make a real tangible difference in those early days. Paternity leave comes to mind straight away.
Yes, absolutely critical. Paternity leave, it's so much more than just a workplace benefit, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
It's absolutely crucial for enabling that early bonding with your new baby and also for providing essential support to your partner. It's really, really worth looking into both the kind of local regulations and your specific workplace policies. Understand your entitlements fully.
Absolutely. And it's important to remember the statutory minimum here in the UK. You get 1 or 2 weeks of leave, paid at a set rate, currently £172.48 a WIT, or 90% of your average weekly earnings, whichever is lower.
Right, that's the baseline.
And on top of that, there's the option of shared parental leave. That's where parents can share up to 50 weeks of leave and 37 weeks of pay between them. It's definitely something worth exploring and discussing properly with your partner.
Yeah, the shared parental leave options are complex, but potentially really beneficial. Although connecting this to the bigger picture, that 2023 survey by the Fatherhood Institute,
What did that find?
it found that only about 1 in 5 fathers in the UK actually took more than 2 weeks off work after the birth.
Only 1 in 5. Wow.
Yeah, despite 73% saying they wanted to be more involved, it really highlights this gap, doesn't it, between the desire for involvement and the practicalities, maybe financial pressures, maybe workplace culture,
Underscores the need for better support.
and potentially better policies around leave, definitely. While the statutory leave is a starting point, the good news is many larger UK employers are now offering enhanced paternity packages. Better pay, maybe more time off.
So as you said, definitely worth having that conversation with HR or your manager. See what your specific company offers.
Definitely. And on a more sort of day-to-day practical level, there are also some helpful checklists and apps specifically designed for dads.
Yeah, things like Who's Your Daddy and Daddy Up. I've seen those mentioned.
Exactly. They're designed to give you guidance through the pregnancy and into those first few months of parenthood. Little prompts, trackers, that kind of thing.
And even Peanut, wasn't that originally just for mums?
It was, yeah. But now it has features that allow dads to connect with each other too, fostering that peer support network online.
Which is great. Every little bit of practical help and connection, it just makes such a difference during those early days. They can be pretty overwhelming.
Totally overwhelming at times.
Okay, now let's talk about something that can sometimes, understandably, take a backseat in the whirlwind of a new baby: the relationship between the partners.
Yeah. This raises a really important point. How does becoming parents actually impact the couple's relationship?
It's a massive transition.
It's monumental. And it's really not uncommon for it to put a strain on even the strongest partnerships. Sleep deprivation, new stresses, different priorities.
So what can people do?
Well, one thing is proactive couples counseling, even before the baby arrives.
Oh, interesting. Before.
Yeah, it could be incredibly beneficial. By addressing potential communication breakdowns, maybe differing expectations before the baby arrives, couples can build a stronger foundation, ready to weather the inevitable stresses of new parenthood together.
That's such a proactive and, well, smart approach, getting ahead of potential issues.
Exactly. And there are some fantastic resources out there too, like the book And Baby Makes Three by John Gottman.
Ah, yes, the Gottman Institute stuff is usually very practical.
It really is. This book offers really practical advice on how to navigate this specific transition as a couple, how to maintain that crucial connection when you're both exhausted and focused on the baby.
What's fascinating here is that emphasis on, like, intentionally nurturing the connection. It doesn't just happen automatically when you're that tired.
No, you have to work at it. Yeah. It's a powerful reminder that strengthening your relationship is also strengthening the very foundation of your new family.
Good point. And speaking of connection, let's delve into the vital importance of community and peer support again. We touched on online groups, but what about in person?
Yeah, feeling like you're not navigating this whole thing in isolation is it's vital. Connecting with other dads who are going through it or have just gone through it, it provides invaluable support,
Yeah.
practical tips you might not find elsewhere, and just a real sense of camaraderie. You too.
Right. Where can people find these connections?
Well, local community groups, think libraries, community centers, sometimes even places of worship. They often host playgroups or parenting meetups where dads are very much welcome, even if historically they were more mom-focused.
Worth checking local listings then.
Definitely. And linking back to the workplace again,
Mm-hmm.
some employers, maybe through their HR programs or employee assistance programs, EAPs, they're increasingly offering fatherhood resources, sometimes even internal peer support groups for dads in the company.
That's a great initiative if it's available.
Yeah, definitely worth asking what might be available within your own workplace. And in the UK, the NCT, they aren't just about the antenatal classes we mentioned earlier.
Oh, what all?
It's also organized local walk and talk meetups, just a fantastic informal way for new parents, mums, and dads to connect in a relaxed setting. Get some fresh air, chat to someone who gets it.
That sounds really nice, actually. Less pressure than a formal group sometimes.
Exactly. It truly is about building that network, knowing you have people who understand what you're experiencing, the good bits and the tough bits.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground on the types of support. Now, let's maybe pivot to some specific data and policy points, particularly here in the UK, just to provide a bit more context for everything we've discussed.
Yeah, this data really helps illuminate the current situation for new fathers in the UK, as we touched on that 2023 Fatherhood Institute survey.
The one where only 1 in 5 took more than 2 weeks leave.
That's the one. It also revealed that a significant 73% of new fathers wanted to be more involved in their child's early care. A huge majority.
Right.
But a concerning 56%, over half, felt there was too little support specifically aimed at dads.
Wow. So the desire is there, but the perceived support isn't matching up for many.
Precisely. These figures really underscore the importance of all the resources we've been highlighting. They're clearly needed.
They really do highlight that gap between the sort of aspiration and reality, and reinforce why these support systems are so crucial.
Absolutely. And add to that, the Mental Health Foundation reports that around 1 in 10 dads in the UK experience perinatal mental health issues.
1 in 10. That's significant.
It is significant.
Yeah.
And as the Fatherhood Institute's data suggests, many of these issues likely go unacknowledged, maybe due to stigma or just a lack of awareness or a lack of support that feels tailored to them. It really brings home the point that the emotional and mental health resources we talked about earlier aren't just like a nice-to-have extra. They're a fundamental need for a big chunk of new fathers.
It's a powerful reminder of that, definitely.
And finally, on a policy note, it is encouraging to see the UK government's 2024 Start for Life campaign.
What's happening there?
Well, It seems to be increasingly incorporating more inclusive resources,
Hmm.
language and content aimed at non-birthing parents, so fathers and partners.
Okay, so a move towards recognizing their role more explicitly in official campaigns.
Yeah. This growing recognition at a policy level, it feels like a really positive step towards acknowledging the vital and equal role fathers play right from the very start.
Okay, good. So to try and bring everything we've explored together then, what's the core takeaway for you, our listener?
I think the central message is pretty clear. There is a substantial and growing network of support available for new and expecting fathers. It's maybe not always obvious, but it's there.
Right.
This support spans across all those crucial areas we've talked about, from looking after your emotional and mental well-being to practical educational tools, guidance for your relationship, and chances for community connection.
And specifically here in the UK.
Specifically here in the UK, while there are definitely still areas for growth, as that data showed, there are dedicated organizations and evolving policies that are increasingly focused on better supporting fathers.
Hmm.
Things are moving in the right direction.
Exactly. So for you, the listener, we really hope this deep dive encourages you to, explore the resources we've talked about. Find the ones that resonate most with you,
Mhm.
whether that's just checking out an online community tonight, maybe looking into local support groups in your area tomorrow, or even just taking 5 minutes to understand your workplace's paternity leave policy properly.
Yeah, taking that first step.
Taking that first step towards seeking information and support. It can make a genuine difference to your whole experience of becoming a dad.
It really can. And maybe this raises a final thought for you to consider. How might a greater awareness and just more widespread use of all these support systems we've discussed,
Mm-hmm.
how might that not only have a positive impact on fathers themselves,
Mm-hmm.
but also contribute to a stronger, more supported family unit overall, and ultimately benefit the healthy development and the well-being of their children in the long run?
It's a really important question, the ripple effect.
Exactly.
Mm.
It's definitely something worth reflecting on, I think.